They say an old dog can't learn new tricks. Maybe that's true. But an old soldier, well, an old soldier never forgets how to fight. Even when the battlefield changes from a jungle of mud and bullets to one of spreadsheets and damn smooth-talking con artists. My name is Frank Miller, and this is the story of how I learned that the hardest wars aren't always fought under a foreign sky. Sometimes they're fought right here at home, for the things you've spent a lifetime building. I did my time. Vietnam. Came back with more scars than medals, but I came back. Settled down in Oak Haven, a little slice of quiet in Central Texas. Watched the seasons turn, year after year. Thought I'd earned my peace. My wife, Sarah, she passed a few years back. God rest her soul. After that, it was just me, the memories, and a modest nest egg. Enough to see me through. Keep me from being a burden on my kids. $150,000 scraped together over a lifetime of honest work and careful saving. Every dime accounted for. Or so I thought. It started, as these things often do, with a promise. An email landed in my inbox one Tuesday morning. Golden Horizon Investments. Sounded solid, didn't it? Like something you could build a future on. They were targeting veterans, they said. A special program, a way we could give back to those who'd served. High returns, low risk. The kind of talk that makes your ears perk up, especially when the pension check only stretches so far. I'm no fool, or at least I didn't think I was. I stared down a lot worse than a fancy email. But this fella, Julian Vance, he was a different kind of enemy. He called a few days later. Voice like warm honey, smooth and convincing. Said he was a senior portfolio manager, that he'd read my fictional, of course, file. Knew I was a decorated veteran. He played that card well, I'll give him that. Made it sound like an exclusive club. We met for coffee. Vance was sharp. Late 40s, tailored suit that probably cost more than my first car, and a smile that could charm a rattlesnake out of its skin. He laid out the prospectus. Charts, graphs, projections that all pointed sky high. He talked about diversified assets, emerging markets, things that sounded impressive, even if I only half understood them. He peppered his pitch with respect for my service, how men like me deserved a comfortable retirement. He knew which buttons to push. The pride of an old soldier, the desire to remain independent. I asked questions, hard questions, I thought. About risk, about liquidity, about the company's history. He had an answer for everything. Smooth, practiced. Showed me testimonials, other veterans, faces smiling, talking about how Golden Horizon had changed their lives. Forgeries, all of them, I know that now. But then, they looked real enough. He made me feel valued, like this was an opportunity, not a shakedown. It took a couple more meetings. He wasn't pushy, not at first. That was part of his genius. He let the hook set itself. Finally, I signed the papers. Transferred the whole damn lot. $150,000. My life savings. He shook my hand, that expensive smile firmly in place. You won't regret this, Frank, he said. This is the start of a golden new chapter for you. Golden, all right. Fool's gold. The first month, I got a statement. Looked good. Numbers were up. Small, but up. The second month, another statement. Still looking positive. I even got a small dividend payment. Just enough to keep me from worrying. Then, the third month, nothing. I called. Voicemail. Left a message. No return call. Emailed. No reply. The website, Golden Horizon Investments, suddenly vanished. Error 404. Page not found. A cold dread started to creep up my spine. The kind you get when you know, deep down, you've walked into an ambush. I went to the address on the paperwork, a fancy office building downtown. The receptionist at the main desk had never heard of Golden Horizon Investments. Suite number he'd given me? It was a damn janitor's closet. $150,000. Gone. Vanished into thin air, along with Julian Vance and his $1,000,000 smile. It wasn't just the money, though God knows that was a kick in the gut. It was the shame, the feeling of being played for a fool. An old soldier, outsmarted by some slick charlatan in a suit. I'd faced down enemy soldiers, survived ambush, and here I was, defeated by a con man without a shot being fired. The days that followed were dark. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Just sat there in Sarah's old armchair, staring at the wall, the silence of the house pressing in on me. The shame was a physical weight. How could I tell my kids? How could I admit I'd been so stupid? I thought about things a man shouldn't think about. The humiliation was a cancer, eating away at what little pride I'd left. For a while there, I just wanted to disappear. But then, something shifted. Maybe it was looking at the flag I still fly out front. Maybe it was remembering the faces of the men I served with, men who never gave up, no matter how bleak things got. Or maybe it was just plain old-fashioned anger starting to burn through the despair. A slow burn, at first, then hotter, more focused. This wasn't just about Frank Miller anymore. This was about every decent, hard-working person Vance had ever cheated. He hadn't just stolen my money. He'd stolen my peace, my trust. And for that, he was going to pay. That's when the soldier in me woke up. The one that had been dormant for too long. Julian Vance thought he'd picked an easy target. An old man, past his prime, easy to fool, easy to forget. He was wrong. He'd poked a bear he didn't know existed. I started digging. The police, they were sympathetic, took a report, but they had 100 cases like mine. Sophisticated operation, they said. Hard to trace. I wasn't going to wait. I still had a few contacts from my old army days. Guys who knew how to find people who didn't want to be found. And I learned. Lord, did I learn. The internet, a tool I'd mostly used for checking the weather, became my new battlefield. I spent hours in the local library, learning about online scams, about tracing digital footprints. An old dog learning new tricks, driven by a cold fury. It wasn't easy. Vance was good. He covered his tracks like a pro, but he made mistakes. Everyone does. He was arrogant. He liked the high life. Fancy restaurants, exclusive clubs, always paying in cash, but always leaving a digital whisper somewhere. I found other victims. A widow in Arizona, a retired teacher in Florida. All sold the same dream, all left with the same emptiness. We started talking, sharing information. A small, unlikely platoon of the wronged. The more I learned about Vance, the angrier I got. He wasn't just a con man. He was a predator. He preyed on vulnerability, on trust. He saw veterans, seniors, as easy marks. He was living large on our stolen savings, laughing all the way to the bank. That image, it fueled me. I tracked him to a city a few states over. He was using a new name, a new company front. Still the same game, though. Still targeting the unsuspecting. He liked routine, this Vance. Predictable, in his own arrogant way. He had a favorite restaurant, a quiet Italian place where he'd meet his new marks. That's where we decided to make our stand, not with violence. I was done with that. No, this had to be smarter. We were going to use his own greed against him. One of the victims I'd connected with, a retired actress named Eleanor, still had a flair for the dramatic and, more importantly, a very convincing wealthy heiress persona. She was our bait. We fed Vance information through a carefully constructed fake online profile. Eleanor, as Lady Penelope Covington, expressed interest in a major 7-figure investment. His eyes must have lit up like a damn Christmas tree. He took the bait, hook, line, and sinker. They arranged a meeting at his favorite Italian joint. The night of the meeting, my heart was pounding like a drum solo. But on the outside, I was stone cold. I'd sat in narrower ambush than this. We had a couple of off-duty cops we'd managed to convince, friends of one of the other victims. They were at a nearby table, pretending to be a couple on a date. Another victim, a tech whiz kid who'd lost his college fund to Vance, had set up discreet recording devices. Everything had to be perfect. Vance walked in, oozing that same false confidence. He didn't see Eleanor at first. He saw me. I was sitting at the bar, nursing a club soda. Our eyes met. For a split second, I saw a flicker of something in his confusion, recognition. Then it was gone, replaced by his usual smug mask. He'd probably just thought I was some random old-timer. He sat with Eleanor, turned on the charm. We could hear snippets of it through the earpiece the tech kid had rigged. The promises, the guarantees, the same lies he'd fed all of us. Eleanor played her part beautifully, batting her eyelashes, asking just the right naive questions, leading him on. He was practically salivating, talking about how Lady Penelope's investment would yield unprecedented returns. He even started boasting, subtly, about how he managed to stay ahead of the curve, a veiled reference to his scams. He was digging his own grave, one lie at a time. When he slid the forged investment documents across the table for Eleanor to sign, that was our signal. I stood up, walked over to their table. The off-duty cops rose with me. "Julian Vance," I said. My voice was steady, a lot steadier than I felt. Or whatever you're calling yourself these days. He looked up. That smug smile froze on his face. This time, the recognition was undeniable. Panic flickered in his eyes. He knew he was caught. "Frank Miller," he managed, his voice suddenly a few octaves higher. "That's right," I said. "Remember me? The old soldier you thought was an easy mark?" The cops identified themselves. Read him his rights. The click of the handcuffs was the sweetest sound I'd heard in a year. All that arrogance, all that swagger, just drained out of him. He looked small, pathetic, defeated. We didn't get our money back. Most of it was long gone, laundered through a dozen shell corporations. But that wasn't the victory we were after, not really. The victory was seeing him exposed, knowing he wouldn't be preying on anyone else, knowing that we, a bunch of ordinary people he'd written off, had brought him down. Justice, it's a powerful thing. So, what's the takeaway from an old soldier's tale? First, be careful. There are predators out there, and they wear very convincing masks. If something sounds too good to be true, it damn well is. Don't let pride or promises cloud your judgment. Ask the hard questions, and if you don't like the answers, walk away. Trust your gut. It's usually smarter than your wallet. Second, don't ever count yourself out. And don't underestimate the power of standing together. When this happened, I felt alone, ashamed. But connecting with others who've been through the same hell, that changed everything. There's strength in numbers, and there's power in a shared purpose. Even when you feel like you've got nothing left, you've still got your voice, and you've still got your fight. And finally, justice. It might not always look like what you see in the movies. It might not be swift, and it might not make you whole again, not in every way. But fighting for it, standing up for what's right against those who do wrong, that has its own reward. It restores something in you. Vance is doing time now. A long stretch. It won't bring back my savings, but it brings a measure of peace. Knowing he can't hurt anyone else. Life's quiet again in Oakhaven. I'm still tending my garden. Still miss Sarah. But the shame, that's gone. Replaced by something else. A quiet satisfaction. A reminder that even an old soldier, armed with nothing but determination and a refusal to stay down, can still win a righteous fight. So, keep your eyes open. Look out for each other. And if trouble finds you, remember Frank Miller. Remember that even in the darkest of times, you've always got one more battle left in you.